Final module of section number 3. This starts our conversation on overconfidence. If you have not done it yet, please make sure you download the overconfidence survey, get your hands on it, take the survey, and then we're going to we have a video that walks you through the answers, and we'll see if you can get 9 out of 10. We'll relay and see how you did, but I've done this many times. I have a very strong sense that most people will undershoot it. And by undershoot it, I mean undershoot it to the tune of 1s, 2s, 3s, and 4s out of 10, where the objective was to get 9 out of 10. But that sets up our conversation very nicely, talking about overconfidence. So this is where we're going to go today. We're going to define overconfidence. So first, we have to lay down the groundwork here that having confidence, this is a good thing. We want you to love, accept yourself, be positive, be confident in yourself, and find that confidence. And so don't get me wrong. Confidence is something we really want you to have, encourage you to push for it, seek it. And confidence, though, is basically, it's having a positive feeling about yourself. Having a positive feeling about your skills, knowledge, etc. Yourself. That's confidence. This is good. Now, where we get to overconfidence is where it's an inflated sense of your abilities. That's kind of beyond reality. So this overconfidence is this inflated sense of abilities. And you've probably recognized this sometimes in others when you see them around and go, ooh, maybe they don't want to judge, but maybe their beliefs about themselves are a little bit over what they're actually doing. Once again, trying not to judge around that, but the inflated sense of abilities, and this is what we need to watch out for with ourselves. My favorite story around this is working out in the mornings with a guy who we were up every morning at 6 lifting weights, and he claimed to me one morning that he had no he was the least prideful person that he's ever met and was the most humble person that he knew. And he went on further to say that there was not one prideful ounce in his body, that he had no pride whatsoever. And I'm sitting there barely awake doing this weightlifting, just thinking to myself, that's ironic, because it's basically the most prideful thing you could say, that you're not, that you're the most humble person. So anyway, overconfidence, don't have to look very far to find it. Today, though, we're going to be talking about the 4 manifestations of overconfidence. And this first one is what you experienced during your survey that you took, and I've done it. The one that I posted is the US-based one. There's also a European-based one that elicits more or less the same thing, but this is based off of miscalibration, how we can be overconfident in our calibrations here. And miscalibration is thinking that your knowledge is more accurate than it really is. And this is really interesting when we start getting into finance and we just get a little bit of knowledge about finance and we believe that we know it all, and we make these really overconfident judgments about what we know or what we think is going to happen. And then what seems to happen is, once you get to a certain point, like you're have many years like I have now, you kind of realize that we don't know, and we kind of have to take a little more dose of humility around that, going, man, I've studied for many years around this. I have my PhD in finance, and yet I have to use 3 words sometimes that I don't like to admit. I don't know. So anyway, miscalibration, once again, is thinking that our knowledge is more accurate than it really is. And that's where we had that survey. And I've got the number here that the highest I've ever gotten on average for a class is 3.94 out of 10 on the overconfidence survey. Number 2 is called the better than average effect. Better than average. You might have seen this before if somebody asks you, are you a better driver than average? Or are you less or more biased or less biased than average? The majority are going to say, oh yeah, I'm a better driver than average. I don't know what average actually is, but I just know that I'm better. I see people trying to text and drive, and I'm such a good texter and driver that surely I'm better than average. I asked my class as well, what do you think you're going to do performance-wise on the next exam? Better than average or less than average? And of course, the majority says, I'll just do better than average. And once again, many people think that we're smarter or more skilled than average. And that's where either driving or performance-based. And then next, we have this illusion of control. Illusion of control leads us to overconfidence. If you are a sports fan, whether it's American football or basketball or soccer, football, how many of you have some sort of rituals that you do for your team, whether it be wearing the same shirt or doing the same rituals? And now if you're like me, you can be teaching this, but then also recognize that I do some crazy things during, my team's American football games. And so I have been, unfortunately, a Detroit Lions fan my whole life. And just this past year, they finally were successful and made it to the NFC Championship game. And I recognized that I started doing more things because I wanted this illusion of control. And even to the point where if I was standing in a certain spot and they got a long distance third down conversion, that the next time that happened, I had to get up and go to that spot. And so I'm admitting this myself, but think about what you do in your own life that gives you this illusion of control, where if we step away and the type 2 thinker steps in and says, all right, Fultus, does this really affect the outcome of the game? You have to say, well, probably not. This is where the illusion of control comes in, and defined, it says people think that they have more control over events than could be objectively true. We believe we have more control over events. Like, think about if you're at Las Vegas, blow on the dice, that's going to suddenly make it. That's illusion of control. So these manifest themselves. And then number 4 is what we call excessive optimism. Excessive optimism. And this is where we say optimism, this is great, man, what a great life. We should be positive. We should be optimistic. Optimism. But it's where we have excessive optimism, is where we go overboard here into the overconfidence level. And this is where our predictions about our future are unrealistically optimistic. The predictions about our future are unrealistically optimistic. And so you can think about, my wife, who I'm not very tall, but she's way shorter. She's not going to be a professional basketball player, or there's some things that you just can't do no matter how hard you try. You're just not built or designed to perform at that level, unfortunately. And so sometimes people get this unrealistic optimism about what they think they can do. And so obviously, if we get into this realm of unrealistic possibilities, this can lead to disappointment. And with that comes lack of self-esteem and reduced social regard. So, and then of course, you can waste some time and money as well on some of these goals that are unrealistic. And so we're going to come back when we talk about financial situations here and dig in a little bit more into excessive optimism. But at least that gives us a clear overview here of what overconfidence is and the 4 different manifestations of overconfidence. So keep going. We'll keep plugging away here, and we're almost done. We'll see you on the next video.